Hello. So, my mental health. Well, for my mental health, I spent 8 days in a neuroscience hospital. And that was the best thing that's happened to me for my mental health. 8 days in a mental hospital neuroscience hospital. That's a lot. I would have been probably as happy about my experience if I had spent 5 days there instead of eight, but those extra few days are totally worth it. When I was in this hospital, they allowed me to use a pen to do writing that looks kind of like this. These are safe pens in that area. They don't have any metal on them. They are very hard to write with, but they're the safest thing for that kind of area in a hospital. I made, can only be described as very manic schedules of what actually led me to this place. Starting September 16th by Epic Games. Thank you so much for taking the watch feature off of Fortnite for a month and a half. That allowed me to do a lot of things, but importantly, there's no way I would have been a content creator back before September 16th. Just no way. And now I am working on it. I'm not good at it yet. It's very early in the process, but I'm trying. But all the right lines were using the side of this binder. This binder has what's the table of contents slash list of where the words exist, etc. All this was kind of reverse engineered out of how to organize all the stuff that I've been writing down on a more of a day by day basis, up to like 56 pages of this stuff I was writing down and trying to absorb when I was in this neuroscience hospital. So it's not getting to that point. I have some apologies to issue. I'm very sorry for everyone who I ran over their toes with some of this, because looking back now, I can see that I did some things sloppily. I did some things that were hurtful to some people, and that was definitely not my intention. My first intention, my first priority in life has been my kids since they were born. The second priority has been my dad, who, especially now, he's 82 and not getting around as well mentally as well as physically. He's been my number two focus for a very long time. And that pressure from those first priority and the second priority are some of the ingredients that go into why I was in that hospital for 8 days. But one of the things that we covered in that hospital was coping skills. Well, one of my coping skills is video games, and I share that coping skill with my son. And my daughter, sometimes she does like some games like Fall Guys on Epic Games. But the reason I was wanting to make this video about my mental health was that coping skill that I had been using since I was a kid. Since Pong came out back in the 80s, not really that great at graphics, no real storytelling there. Games have evolved to the point where now they are the canvas in which people can paint whole storylines with video games. And I've really enjoyed that for a long time. One of the things I got really into was PUBG, or PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, and each of those episodes around a game of PUBG with someone like Choco Taco kind of narrating what he's doing to kind of help make it easier for the people that are not as good at gaming as he is, like myself, to watch and learn. So video games were one of my coping skills that came out during my 8 days in this mental health area. And I mentioned already the watch feature being disabled by Epic Games for Fortnite. Well, I would not be a content creator without that, because what happened was my son was at his mother's house. We're divorced. And when he was playing Fortnite, he would want me to watch him, especially before we even played together. He's just happy to have someone watch him. So that watch feature got disabled September 16th, which set in motion all this stuff that I started writing down with my calendars and everything else to try to make sense about why I was there and what's going on, and trying to convey all that information to the people that were taking care of me at this mental health institution. Not mental health, okay, neuroscience hospital. Not words I used before this. So what happened in the last few weeks before my hospitalization was I was visiting my father, and during that visit I figured some of these things out as far as how to use streaming or just taking interesting videos in a way that could help me connect with my father in some way. And one of the things that's going to become obvious to me is that his mental health is not going to get better. His mental cognitive abilities are not going to get better. He's on a downward trajectory, and that's very scary. Having already lost my mom back in 2018, but I do have the opportunity to spend time with him. And one of the videos I made that's on this channel is called "Remember Me," which for me not to start crying right there is pretty good for me, actually. I'm a bit of a crier. But "Remember Me" was the title of this 2 hours and 58 minutes and 33 seconds video. And of those 2 hours and 58 minutes and 33 seconds, a lot of that just has the sound totally turned off. And not until 2 hours and 56 minutes do I actually turn the microphones on intentionally. And you can see that intention at 1 hour and 59 minutes. If you watch that for the full 1 minute after that 1 hour 59 minutes, you can see me give a shout out to the two-time Dr. Disrespect champion, as well as counting down the seconds to 2 hours exactly. So my time was limited with my father. So the best way for me to emphasize how important that video is making it as long as possible, because I only had so much time there visiting him. And that video is something that will live forever in my ability to connect with my father by just watching that video back. It means a lot to me, and it means that I was able to capture a conversation with him and make sure he knows that I love him. But bigger than that, on this YouTube channel, I have a not watch list, on a playlist called Grandpa and Me. And that Grandpa and Me, the me part, is me in that particular moment of me and my father and our relationship, and me letting him know that I love him a lot. I'm going to drink some water now. So, after all this, now I have to circle back to what my number one priority is, and this video is part of my number one priority, which is my kids, who I desperately want to spend more time with. I appreciate any time that you've watched this, and I'm sure more will come up and more will be discussed, but I think this is a pretty good spot to wrap things up. Thank you.